Okay, estudiantes, we're going to have another practice of consecutive interpretation. So go grab a piece of paper and a couple of pencils or pens. I prefer pens just because I feel like there's less friction when you're trying to write with pens versus pencils, okay? Then divide that sheet of paper right down the middle because you can get more information in that page, especially at the beginning of an encounter where some of the information like names and date of birth could be shared. So you have it all in one page, but also it doesn't waste so much paper, okay? And then remember to use some of the techniques that are going to help you be more precise, more exact, more complete, like the Code of Ethics requires. Remember, it requires accuracy in our renditions. So one is the note taking. So you're going to practice taking some notes. And when I say notes, not full words, just little abbreviations, emojis, drawings, right? Little images. So that's the tool that is absolutely necessary to have a good consecutive. But there's maybe a couple more that can also help. One is a visualization. That's why I put like a doctor's office. So I'm going to try to pretend I'm actually there with the patient and with the provider. And so then I'm going to try to make it like a movie in my head. If the patient says, I have a lot of cough, right? Or in Spanish, they say, tengo mucha tos. I'm going to pretend I'm there and I'm actually hearing them. Right? So it makes it more real for me and I can be more accurate. So visualization is one, and then personalization. Put yourself in the place of that person. Pretend it's you that have the symptoms. So if the patient says, me duele el oído izquierdo, try to feel like, oh my God, you know, it's hurting. So then you remember, my left ear is hurting. So again, a combination of all these three, the note-taking, the visualizing the encounter, and pretending it's happening to you is going to help you comply with the canon from our Code of Ethics, which is accuracy and completeness, okay? Then also, this is not translation. This is not where you hear, you type everything down, you hear it again, you fill in the blanks. This is not translation or transcription. This is oral. This is a conversation and you're there to facilitate it, right? So don't pause it and go look up things on Word Reference and Real Academia and call all your neighbors that speak Spanish. No, try to go with the flow if this was really happening. If you have to, do it 3 or 4 times until you become a little bit more natural, but don't type it. You should not be reading anything whatsoever except for your images or notes or abbreviations on your paper, okay? Now remember, interpreting, we do have a canon that requires we do continuing education, that we continue improving and polishing our skills and our craft. But it doesn't mean that everything is just perfect, like translation, where you have the time to think. You can consult dictionaries and thesaurus and all that. Interpretation means you have to make a decision on the spot, so communication flows. So for instance, if somebody says, tomorrow before coming to the doctor's office, make sure to fast. And you're like, oh my God, I don't know how to say fast in Spanish. Oh no, Real Academia, everything. No. You know what the meaning of fast is. You know other ways of explaining fast in English. You know that for a child, if they say, I don't know what fast is, you could say, empty stomach, don't eat or drink anything. So that's what you have to convey into Spanish at that moment, so that encounter continues and the doctor is not behind and frustrated and the patient's not frustrated. You have to keep the things going and moving and flowing. Now then, yes, go look up how to say too fast, because we have the obligation to improve, right? So that's what I want you to do, is to work on good solutions, work as if you were present, but don't write anything like try to transcribe or transfer to text and then interpret, okay? So you're ready? Also remember to start maybe Vocaroo or another voice recording so that I can hear both my voice and your voice on the recording, so I know that you're doing it. Okay, ready? Here we go. Good morning. What brings you to Dr. Brown Medical Office today? Interpret. No me siento bien. No dormí nada en toda la noche. Interpret. I'm sorry. What is your first name and last name? Interpret. Gisela Buenaventura. Interpret. How do you spell Buenaventura? Interpret. B-U-E-N-A-V-E-N-T-U-R-A. Interpret. What is your date of birth? Interpret. 15 de mayo de 1973. Interpret. And your social security number? Interpret. 518-24-3277. Interpret. Do you have medical insurance? Interpret. Blue Shield. What is your group number? Interpret. 381-298. Interpret. What is your marital status? Interpret. Vivo con el papá de mis hijos. Interpret. How many children do you have? Interpret. Tengo 2 hijos varones. Después me quitaron la matriz. Interpret. What is your weight? Interpret. Pues estoy un poco más gordita. Creo que unos 59 kilos. Interpret. And your height? Interpret. 1.53 metros. Interpret. I found your medical history. Can you please sign this form for me? Interpret. ¿Dónde? ¿Aquí? Interpret. Yes, on the X. And just please wait for the nurse. She will be getting your vital signs. Interpret. ¿Qué es eso? Interpret. Your temperature, your pulse, your blood pressure. Interpret. Pero yo ya sé que tengo fiebre y dolor de garganta. Interpret. It is common practice here at Dr. Brown's office. Interpret. Ok, está bien. Gracias. Interpret. Oh, and just in case the nurse needs to draw blood, did you eat anything before you came? Interpret. No, no. Tengo el estómago vacío. Interpret. Very well then. Interpret. Pero sí me tomé mis pastillas para mis problemas de la vesícula. Interpret. That is fine. Did you take any other medication? Interpret. Un té de manzanilla y un jarabe para la tos. También me froté un poco de Vaporub en el pecho. Interpret. Anything else? Interpret. Ayer por la noche me tomé 2 aspirinas porque tenía un fuerte dolor de cabeza y hasta me latían las sienes. Interpret. Perfect. Thank you. Have a seat. Interpret. Okay, so you're all done. Now you're going to have the script with the scoring units. That is with the words that I was looking to see if you accurately interpret those, right? There's a lot of other information, and if you were not perfect, that's okay. Only the ones that bolded and highlighted. I want you to now listen to your recording and just check mark. I think I might have skipped one when I was reading, so there might be only 32, and you do your self-evaluation. Out of those 32, how many did you hit it right on the mark? okay? And so that you can start setting goals for yourself. Is it the memory that's a problem? So you need to improve your note taking, or is it the vocabulary that's an issue and you need to keep studying Quizlet? Is it the numbers, where we all deal with numbers as far as like interpreters, and that's really hard, but super important, right? Dosages, you know, weight, temperature, all that is so important. So we have to be really, really good with numbers. And so if that's an issue, just practice with numbers, because that's something you already learned, but it's hard to interpret accurately. Now, numbers, just so you know, like when I said 381, 298, it's accurate to say 381, 298. It's also accurate to say 381, 298. It's also accurate to say 38, 12, 98. As long as you get all those digits in there, that's completely okay. Like the social security number 2, it's completely okay how you say it. Do you say 518-24-3277, or is it 518, 24, 3277? However combination, as long as the numbers are exact. So check for that. Let's see, what else did I want you to make sure that you know? Try to remember the gender of the people. It's harder because it's just me. But in this case, it was a female patient. We don't know if Dr. Brown's a male or not. So we can always do the male, because in Spanish, usually that's what we default, okay? So go ahead and listen, see how many scoring units, and self-evaluate. There's nothing else to do but then submit, okay? Muchas gracias.